The Florida State Seminoles, 2-10 this year. Complete rebuild is underway in Tallahassee. Joe, I'm very interested to see where you're going to take this one, but way too early looking at Florida State going into the 2025 season. Your thoughts?
This is one team this whole offseason. I have no damn idea how good this team is going to be. There is no way to predict what this team is going to do because not only did they suck this past year, but they had a bunch of dudes who didn't care. They had a bunch of guys that weren't trying, that weren't putting in effort. They gave up against Boston College in their second game in week 1. That was the craziest meltdown that I've ever seen from a team. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the frustration of the year prior to them missing the playoff. It's, hearing their name brought up in how important they are to the ACC, that they don't belong in the ACC, and just looking past all their opponents. I don't know what caused all this. We're going to find out how good of a coach Mike Norvell really is because they had some good high school recruits. A shitload of them left, and they had to go back to the portal again. I think looking at who they brought in, though, there's 3 guys to me that I think could be key catalysts for improvement. FSU's not winning the ACC this upcoming year, by the way. We need to get that out there early. There's too much roster reworking that needs to happen in order for them to get back to that conversation. But Deuce Robinson, who is one of the most gifted tight end receiver hybrids, he's a crazy athlete. Squirrel White, who's a dynamic player, and Thomas Castellanos, who fits, I think, perfectly for what Norvell wants. He fits perfectly for what Malzahn wants. This is a perfect marriage. I'm going to look up how much eligibility he has left in a quick second, but if he could play to his potential and you can get some dynamic playmaking out of him, there is some high upside here with this offense.
I got a problem.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to have 5 new offensive linemen coming in from the portal. And then you're going to bring in a run game guy, and you're having an offensive line where you got to go in the portal that heavy for a run game. You better get to the outside. I think I like Gus Malzahn a lot. I always have. I think he gets a little bit ridiculed when he shouldn't. Squirrel White, good luck. Put him in jet sweep motion. Put him in jet motion. Get him the football out in space where he doesn't have to catch the football, because he was one of the leaders in the SEC in drop passes. Castellanos, it's going to be interesting to see, but he quit on his team too. He got benched and quit. Let's call it what it is. So then you're bringing in more mercenaries. Here's a bottom. You're right on one thing. We don't know what Florida State's going to be after a 2-10 year because it's simple. You're not recruiting well enough in high school. You're not. You're not developing from within. You're hiring mercenaries that have no team chemistry with one another. 0. How does that keep happening when you don't recruit good in high school and there's a structure involved? I don't care when anybody players run that locker room. Players always will run the locker room. When you don't have that structure built in, it collapses in on itself. Florida State. Joe, there was more inches of snow in Tallahassee, Florida than they got this past year. Snow at the beach in Florida. And I'm supposed to come in here and act as if that they're rebuilding. No. Bullshit. Brother, I don't know. I have no clue. 0 clue. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to be real with you. Gus could cause some things and get him out of bad situations. I got to see it first, man. I got to see what they look like before I start making determinations.
Well, here's a fair point. I think they improve. Let's keep it as vague as possible. I think that they improve.
They're going
now. Improvement doesn't really require a whole lot because they were awful last year. They were bad.
They were.
The question that we now have is, how much improvement is capably possible? Again, winning the ACC off the table. I think Florida State fans are smart enough to know, hey, this is a process to get back to where we were. We're not going to go right back to the ACC championship game. Can they go 7-5? Like, is that doable if he's got a group of Here's where the positive is with this Blake, with the roster turnover. One could look at it, and we've talked about this, in it being a huge issue. Like, man, they lost a lot of guys. The other side of that, you got rid of all the dudes that didn't care and that weren't bought in. People that stuck around, that requires a lot of buy-in. To stick around after that bad of a season, that requires those young men to say, there is something for me here. I just don't know what that gets you. I don't know if that gets you 7 wins. Maybe it's 5.
Joe, how about this? How about we get to 500? Let's not even think about a winning season. Let's get to 500 before we start talking shit. And you know what's even worse? Florida State fans all offseason were talking shit about Billy Napier, and then look what happened to them. Billy's been bad. He ain't been that bad. Billy's never been that bad. So you had
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You had a whole offseason where you were talking shit about the SEC. You tried to leave the ACC. You were talking all this shit about to Kirk Herbstreit. Oh, you didn't want us in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden you go out there and you get your asses whooped and you go 2-10. It's more than egg on the face. It's more than egg on the face. You got your house, you got your door kicked in, and your woman got slapped. What you gonna do about it?
And now it doesn't help them that they've got probably one of the hardest ACC schedules next season.
It's not easy.
They get Bama to start the year.
Blowout.
East Texas A&M.
Blowout.
Kent State, Virginia. They go to
Blowout.
Miami, which is a tough move. Pitt, they go to Stanford. Wake Forest, go to Clemson. Virginia Tech, they host. They go to NC State. And then they go to Florida. So I'm seeing 1, 2. There's like 5 almost guaranteed losses on this schedule. Knowing that the tumult of this offseason or this past season, there is a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot to overcome, dude. Norvell's in trouble.
I think 6-6 is doable, but like, is 6-6 the point where the athletic directors are like, we need to pay your buyout?
They gave him a massive contract.
That's the craziest part about all this.
This is the Lord telling you need to start being a little bit more humble. They trashed everybody. And the Lord came in and Sodom and Gomorrah their ass. You and I both know that they trolled every single person, everybody.
I know that's Norvell wasn't doing that, but the point that you bring up is, yeah, this is horrible.
Nobody's going to be behind you here. Like everybody is looking at Florida State as the program. When you look at them, no one is behind you. You went out and did the same exact thing that got you in this situation to start off with. The same thing.
That's why the question is asked now is like, how do they get better? They brought in some good athletes. I'm stunned that Deuce Robinson signed up for this. Deuce Robinson could be catching passes at Georgia right now, or at LSU, or at Texas.
No, I got to be real with you. He can't. No, not at LSU. I got to be honest.
Start at LSU, Deuce Robinson?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't start at LSU.
On.
No, he wouldn't start at LSU. Not right now. With
Deuce
the emergence of Aaron Anderson, who's a 1,000-yard receiver, and Chris Hilton, another.
Robinson's going to play tight end. He's like a flex tight end.
No, not with Trey'Dez Green.
Yeah, I mean, you split him out. He's a big receiver. He's a big slot. You wouldn't start Deuce Robinson.
No, not over Trey'Dez Green. No,
Blake, come on, man.
No, did you not see what happened with Trey'Dez Green?
I did, but I've actually seen Deuce Robinson produce on the field.
And I've seen Trey'Dez Green have 100 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. Physically, I'm all right. Listen,
all right, wait, you want a friendly wager? Friendly wager.
Right,
Deuce Robinson has more yards than Trey'Dez Green does.
No, I'm not going to do that because LSU has more weapons than Florida State. He's their number one. He's not LSU's number one.
All right. He could be like Kyle Pitts. Like that's what his build is. He's fast as Kyle Pitts.
Coordinator that does not like throwing the football, and an offensive line that's got 5 mercenaries on it. Okay.
But he could have been in Florida. That's another team that he could have gone to. I don't know if these teams
You
had
could still enter the spring portal.
He's not going to do that.
Joe, if it gets bad enough.
Yeah, but wait, hold on. But we don't, none of that's happened yet, though. Like, there's never, like, I'd find it hard to believe that the spring would be so bad that Deuce Robbins would be like, shit, I got to get out of here. He made a decision.
Money talks and BS walks.
All right. He was getting looks